शन्नो मित्रशं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्भक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु भक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Now let us repeat the Bhashya because this is an introduction to the section that is coming just now, and even though we had read it last time, let us repeat that now one more time and then go with that. Point 36 at the bottom, at the very bottom of page 271, starting with Sahi Purushaha. Sahi Purushaha
Sahi Purushaha
Iha Vidyaya
Iha Vidyaya
Antaratamam Brahma
Antaratamam Brahma
Sankramayitum Ishtaha
Sankramayitum Ishtaha
Tasya Cha
Tasya Cha
Bhashyakara Vishesheshu
Bhahyakara Vishesheshu
Anatmasu
Anatmasu
Atmabhavita Buddhihi
Atmabhavita Buddhihi
Analambya
Analambya
Vishesham Kanchit
Vishesham Kanchit
Sahasa
Sahasa
Antaratama
Antaratama
Pratyagatma Vishaya
Pratyagatma Vishaya
Viralambana Cha
Niralambana Cha
Kartum Ashakya Iti
Kartum Ashakya Iti
Drishta Sharira
Drishta Sharira
Atma Samanya
Atma Samanya
Kalpanaya
Kalpanaya
Shakha Chandra
Shakha Chandra
Nidarshanavath
Nidarshanavat
Antaha
Antaha
Praveshayan Aha
Praveshayan Aha
Tasya Idameva Shiraha.
Tasya Idameva Shiraha.
So, this is the mantra in the Taittiriya Upanishad, in the text. This is the mantra where we are going to enter. Tasya tasyedameva shiraha ayam dakshinah pakshah ayam uttarah pakshah ayamatma a idam puchham pratishtha tadapyesha shloko bhavati. This is the part we are entering. So, this is the mantra to which the light of the Bhashya is being thrown so that we can understand this properly. So, first introducing this mantra 2.1, introducing that the Bhashyakara gives a very beautiful, as usual, a lovely segue, and let us look at what we have just read here. So, Sahi Purushaha, which Purushaha? The one that is Pradhanaha. We just, went through a nice understanding of why it is Purusha centric, why it is Jiva centric, why is the Upanishad so interested in the in the individual. Why is the why is the Upanishad so highlighting the individual rather than talking about glowworms or some kind of deep sea creatures? So many things there are to talk about. And then, why is it always talking about the jiva? The sad, mad, bad, but thinking of himself, herself as rad, jiva. Why is the Upanishad so jiva centric? And the jiva itself here is called Purusha, because that is the truth. Jiva is that which is equal to Bhagavan. But here, even if you take the word term Purusha as Puram Ushati, the one who lives in the body, the indweller of this body, mind, sense complex. Why? And we saw a nice argument earlier in the last week, and that was what? That was because the because the pradhanyat, because Purusha is very important. Why? And we saw the three reasons why this Purusha is very important. So here is a unexpected and unfortunate Vedanta quiz. What are the three reasons Bhashyakara says that the Purusha is important? What were
कर्म
the three words?
कर्म ज्ञान अधिकारित्वं शक्तत्वं and
Ah, ah,
arthitvam.
no. So, karma jnana adhikara that we saw, that is separate. So that is the first one, definitely. So let's just summarize that. So the Purusha alone is karma adhikari. And even though the donkey does kicking karma, it cannot not kick. You see, that is there, the free will is not there. It, it will kick. Even if a sadhu goes and stands behind the donkey, then the sadhu is, everybody will look at the sadhu like, what is wrong with you? Nobody will tell the donkey what is wrong with you. So the donkey has the freedom to kick, but it does not have the freedom not to kick. That is the idea. So karma adhikaritvam is there. The Purusha he has got the ability to act, the ability to not act, and the ability to act out, meaning act differently. So this is karma adhikari. Purusha is definitely. Then because the Purusha is karma adhikari, the Purusha keeps doing karma and then keeps gaining. But what does the Purusha keeps gaining? Keeps gaining karma phala. When you have so much karma phala, you don't know what to do with it. Why? Because it's all unsavory karma phala. You thought you're going to get something, but you get something else instead. And that is something terrible. And so because of this, you are upset, and you are you are not in harmony with yourself. And so the Purusha keeps doing karma, keeps reaping the results of action without, with great disappointment, dejection. And then after that, what happens? Then more karma is unleashed, so that karma adhikaritvam also translates later on out of sheer frustration sometimes as jnana adhikaritvam. Like, oh, I'm sick of this. I've had it. I have been there, done that. I don't want to do this ever again. Okay, what else is there for me? Then the jnanam shines only when one is sick of karma, and at least one is sick of the concept of karma, even though one may be doing karma in the form of karma yoga, may be doing, that is good, but that is because that gives adhikaritvam for the jnanam. So the karma adhikari then becomes karma yoga adhikari, and then finally becomes jnana adhikari. So that, yes, that is true. And then there are three words Bhashyakara uses to to talk about, to talk about the samarthya, the capacity of the Purusha for this, for why the Purusha is Karma Adhikari and Jnana Adhikari. One is Shaktatvat. Shaktatvat means the capacity is there. To do karma, the capacity to gain this knowledge is there. The capacity to be pricked by the ignorance and to hate the self-ignorance is there. And then arthitvat, because there is a lot of agenda. I want this, after that I want this, and then not only I want this, I want you to behave in a certain way, I want the world to behave in a certain way, I want all the inanimate things to behave in a certain way, I even want God to behave, Bhagavan also to behave in a certain way. So this arthitvat, this arthitvam is there. All the Purusharthas except for moksha shine brightly. The three Purusharthas shine. Moksha, of course, is swept into under the rug, and then moksha also shines once the Purusha becomes a Jnana Adhikari. Then Aparyudastatvat cha, finally, Aparyudastatvat means there is no asangatvam, there is no indifference. The Purusha has one leg in one everybody's business, one hand in everybody's business. Oh, what's happening over there? Oh, somebody's doing this, let me see what to do there. Oh, what's happening over here? Something is happening over here. Okay, let me put my paw in here as well. And like a curious cat. And then there is an expression, curiosity killed the cat. Here, curiosity kills the adhikaritvam for jnanam. That is what curiosity kills here. And so this is exactly what, this is exactly what we saw last time. And then we saw that wonderful quotation that having performed finite karma expects the unexpected, expects the infinite to somehow manifest. So this is why the Purusha is Pradhanya and Sahi Purusha. That Purusha who is very important, who is significant, Sahi Purusha, that Purusha alone, Iha Vidyaya Antaratamam Brahma Sankramayitum Ishtaha. Sankramayitum means to gain. Prapayatum iti artha. So that is the artha of Sankramayitum, to gain. So, Sankramayitum means to gain. Ishtaha is desirous of gaining the Antaratamam Brahma. That Brahman which appears to be innermost. Now that's why I'm having this particular background today, because you think, okay, these two pillars are it, and then you see more pillars, and then behind that you see more pillars and more pillars to keep on going like this. So too there is some there is a kind of a desire to touch the innermost self, to gain the innermost self. Innermost self doesn't mean that the Atma is somewhere inside. No. It is more in the sense of Guha Nihitatvam. Nihitam Guhayam, we saw that earlier. Nihitam Guhayam means there is a that Brahman which is obtainable, which is understandable, which is palpable in the buddhi, or even as the truth of the buddhi, as the content, the very content of the thinker, the content of the knower. And that Brahman alone I'm interested in. It is innermost only from the standpoint of the upadhi, the body mind sense complex. It is, you cannot say it is innermost just like that, otherwise it makes no sense. And here is where numerous acharyas also make a mistake. And what is the mistake? The first premise, Brahman is all pervasive. But then you have to dive deep within because it is innermost. This is a contradiction. Okay. If it is innermost, then what is the meaning of this? If it is innermost, it's not that you have to dive deep into it and then in the rarefied silence, then somehow Brahman will emerge. This is how sometimes people talk. Silence is Brahman. Then what is sound? If sound is outside of Brahman, each time there is a sound, then there is no Brahman. Brahman goes away. That is, these are all very small things, but they can lead to big mistakes. They look to be small things, but here is where we have to be very, very careful and correct ourselves at every corner. Otherwise, we'll be reproducing the mistakes whenever we talk about Brahman or share with others, even one single line. So this is the reason why Bhashyakara is very, very careful. So this is Pratyagatma. Pratyak means innermost, but then that innermost doesn't mean that you have to somehow, it is a location for Brahman. It's not a location. It's a standpoint. It's not a location. If Brahman had a location, then people like myself would not have any vocation. Yes, because there is nothing to teach. Everybody will know the location of Brahman sooner or later, and then all you need is a GPS. You need GPS. And earlier I had told you, long time before when we studied Guru Paduka Stotram, that is the original GPS. So not that GPS. You'll need this the GPS that is on your phone, and then you type in Brahman, and then Google Maps will take you there. You don't need lineage, you don't need parampara, you don't need teacher, you don't need anything. You don't even need the Upanishad. GPS mein dalo, you put it in the GPS and then you go there. Simple. But this is not like that. And so when you say Pratyagatma, this is because this is the particular methodology that is going to take us to an understanding of Brahman that is going to be extremely dhrida. Dhrida means stable. And so therefore we have to be very, very careful and very, very careful and specific. And what is the care here we have to take? To translate the word Pratyagatma. And if you look at the English Bhashya, it will say innermost, because that is the translation. Antaratamam Brahma, the innermost Brahman. This is the faithful translation, no doubt. But within the context, the word innermost is a standpoint. It is not a location. It's not an indication of a location. It's a particular standpoint. What is the standpoint? From the standpoint of the body, the Brahman is, the Brahman is not the body. From the standpoint of the mind, Brahman is not the mind. Brahman is not the senses. Brahman is not the notion that one is a doer. Brahman is not the prana. Brahman is not the bhokta. Bhokta means the one who is enjoying the fruits of the karma. Brahman is none of them. In fact, Brahman is that which sustains all of them without becoming any, quote unquote, becoming any one of them. This is the understanding that one has to have. So therefore, antaratamam Brahma, this innermost, tamam means, superlative. So this innermost Brahman, if it is there, it's more in the sense of, from the standpoint of this Purusha, who was called Pradhana. From that standpoint, innermost means that which is that which is in keeping with the yearning, the universal human yearning to touch that core of oneself. I can't be all miserable. Everybody is convinced. I'm not all a ball of anxiety. I'm not a bundle of misery. I'm not some kind of a bunch of stress and stressors. I'm not just a relational being, born related. This is a daughter to a son, somebody is a son, somebody is a daughter, somebody is a sister, somebody is a brother. There must be something more to me. Who am I? And there must be something else. And that yearning is universal. It goes by many names. The yearning goes by the name, the most common name for this yearning for Brahman is called what? Happiness. Happiness. And if you want to be very fancy, you say bliss. You say bliss. That's how it is. And then you say happiness, ananda. And then, you want to be fancy, you say this thing. You call it by some name. And it's just like if you go to, some very cheap place, you just say, I want some coffee. If you go to a high-end expensive cafe, not even coffee shop, you have to call it cafe. All the French words come out. Then you say cafe latte or something like that, cappuccino, all these Italian French names. You order the same thing, And so just like that here also, exactly that is what is going on. And so here, from the standpoint of this yearning jiva, you call it happy, whatever you want, you call it. You call it limitlessness. I don't want a boss. That is how it translates to I need to be my own boss. I don't want anybody standing and breathing down my neck. And, I want to work for myself. I don't want anybody telling me what to do. All this is that yearning for Brahman. The yearning for Brahman doesn't come out as, oh, I want Brahman. Nobody says that. It is felt in the most visceral and in the most concrete and pragmatic way. In the yearning for Brahman is felt in the sense or a notion of bondage. There is some daddy looking over my shoulder or some mummy. And so this is what I don't want. This is one way it is felt, like there is a constriction. Somebody is telling me what to do. I hate that. I know I need the paycheck, but I don't like the boss. I don't like the work. I want to work for myself. Or I don't want to work at all, but the money should be coming. How is that possible? And then, so that is one manifestation. Another manifestation is, how can I be sad all the time? There must be something else. I know I'm meant to be happy, but where is this happiness? Sometimes it comes out in the sense of searching for something called love, whatever that means. Searching for love. I want love. I want to experience some kind of a union with somebody or with a group of people or with whatever it is. I want to belong. So at other times, that sense of love is experienced in the sense of a longing for a sense of belonging. So however you experience it, we say that all of it, all these longings, all these desires, all these deep, deep unaddressed and unarticulable yearnings, all of them have to do with what? Their second name is Brahman. All of them are called Brahman in Sanskrit. The desire for Brahman, because we don't know what Brahman is, the desire for Brahman takes many, many forms. Sometimes it takes the form of freedom from an ailment. Physical, emotional, mental, doesn't matter. Oh, if I'm free of this, then I will be okay. So sometimes it is getting rid of something. The Brahman looks Brahman takes the form of getting rid of something. Sometimes it is shoring up something. It is wanting something, wanting to collect something like money. If I have money, I'll be happy, and that is what what I want. So sometimes it manifests in opposite ways. And so, but know that wherever there is a strong yearning, its name is Brahman. That is what it is. And that is felt. And where is this yearning felt? Deep in the heart. That is why Antaratamam Brahma. And where is this yearning felt? Deep inside the heart, spiritual heart. Okay, don't say, oh, in the left chest cavity and all this. Don't go there. Not the medical heart, the spiritual heart. Deep within the heart, there is this longing felt. And where is Brahman? Where is Brahman recognized? Also deep within that same heart, same buddhi, same mind, heart, buddhi. Here I'm using interchangeable. In that same buddhi, in that same heart, that Brahman is recognized, that Brahman is understood, that Brahman is longed for. Same buddhi. And so this is why this yearning here is universal. That's why the Purusha, the person, The same Purusha who is sick of doing karma and who is sick of reaping the fruits of karma wants to go from the fruits of karma to the roots of karma. Like, why am I wanting this karma to begin with? And then I land up on jnanam. How? Through some happy accident. It's not a joke. To come to this knowledge is not a joke. To be able to have the privilege of taking the time and having the leisure to study Bhashya, no, cannot be. One cannot take this for granted. It is just so much privilege. Even to be able to sit with this knowledge is a privilege. To be able to teach the Bhashya is a great, great, great privilege, really. And to be able to be in a position to learn it is also an equally great privilege. And so therefore, so here, this is what we understand. This Brahman, the one that is longed for and the one that is desired. This has to be understood. I'm connecting the mic so that we don't hear the thunderstorm sounds. Let me do that. So this is exactly the idea, that we get to the place of fulfilling this longing. How? How do we fulfill this longing? We fulfill this longing by exposing ourselves to the Upanishad, by allowing the Upanishads to work on us in the form of a means of knowledge, a live pramana. That is what it is. A live coal that burns through the tamas, through the ajnanam. So then here, this is what is being talked about here, that everybody, no matter who they are, Brahma, antaratamam Brahma, either is okay. Brahma sankramaitum ishtaha, is desirous of touching, is desirous of gaining. Tasya. But he says, Adi Shankara says, but dot dot dot, there are certain small impediments. What are they? Bhahyakara vishesheshu anatmasu atmabhavita buddhihi analambya vishesham kanchit sahasa antaratamam pratyagatma vishaya niralambana na kartum shakya. Or kartum ashakya buddhihi. So, what is the problem here? There is a small detail, a very, very small problem. How do we look at this problem? We look at this problem in the form of a inability. Inability on part of what? The buddhi. The buddhi. So the buddhi is the buddhi is the problem. Why? Because even though this Purusha is a adhikari, Vidya adhikari Purusha, who is eligible for this kind of knowledge, this Purusha, through this knowledge, Antarathamam Brahma Sankramaytum Ishtaha, the Purusha alone desires to gain this Brahman, and therefore what? There is a problem. There is a problem. Why? First, because this Brahman is talked about as Antaratamam, innermost. And the Purusha to begin with is confused. Innermost means what? Where is it located, etc., etc. And so, therefore, the Purusha is going to be led step by step by the Upanishad to Brahman through a unique prakriya. Prakriya means methodology. Through a very unique methodology that is called here Panchakosha Prakriya. Why? Why is this shenanigan necessary? This is necessary because there is a mix-up. Before we see the Panchakosha Prakriya, we will talk first about the mix-up. What is the mix-up? Bhashyakara talks about it in his inimitable way right here in the Bhashya. What does he say? He says, I don't know what happened to the Bhashya file. Hold on 1 second. So he says that this is this pratyagatma vishaya. This is atma buddhi bhakyakara vishesheshu anatmasu atma bhavita buddhi. So right now the person's buddhi is what? Anatmasu atma bhavita buddhi. In the anatma, the person is looking for atma. I mean, looking is one thing, but in the anatma, the person is convinced that is the atma. The ticket to happiness is you, somebody will say. The ticket to happiness is money. You meet some person, either the child or the spouse or a friend or significant other, doesn't matter. My ticket to happiness is you. My ticket to happiness is some other, some other thing. My ticket to happiness is food. My ticket to happiness is the internet. You just give me the internet and then I'm happy. I don't need anybody else. I can be on it all day long. And people do that actually. That's very, very, mind boggling. But that's all there is. And my ticket to happiness is having a house. My ticket to happiness is having some kind of some circle of friends. All these things, these are all what, whether we are talking of circle of friends or significant others in the form of spouse, child, friend, etc., or objects, they are all what? Anatma. Anatmasu. In the anatma, atma bhavita buddhi. In the anatma, atma buddhi. This is the classic definition of adhyasa in the Brahma Sutra, Upodghata Bhashya. In the Bhashya, which is introducing the Brahma Sutra, this is exactly what Adi Shankara says. Atmani anatma buddhi. Anatmani atma buddhi. Saeva adhyasa. This is the adhyasa. So in the atma, in the I, not I buddhi. And in the not I buddhi. How? In the not I buddhi, how is there? Because the house is me. And then the child is me. Putre pushte aham pushtaha. If the child is happy, well nourished, I am also okay. Putre nashte. If the child has gone on a wrong track and is going on a wrong track, aham nashtaha. I am the one destroyed. So this is anatmani atma buddhi. This is one example of adhyasa. This is all comes under the classification of what is called dharmadhyasa. There are many types of adhyasa. There are two adhyasas that are generally talked about. One is called dharmadhyasa, where the qualities or the attributes of one are superimposed on the other. Like blue sky. Another classic example of dharmadhyasa. So dharmadhyasa means the sky is not blue. The blueness is superimposed upon the sky, which doesn't have the color blue, and that blueness is superimposed because of atmospheric particles, etc. So the quality of blueness, the attribute of blueness, just as it is superimposed upon that we call space, and we call the sky is blue. This is a this is a dharmadhyasa. And then another example of dharmadhyasa is in the anatma, atma buddhi. So the anatma is a surrounding one, and in all those anatmas, I want it to continue forever because I have mistaken the anatma for the atma. So the qualities of the atma, such as infinite, etc., are superimposed on the body, leading to harvesting of ginkgo, which is a mind, memory pill. So ginkgo and other antioxidants One keeps over harvesting and eating those antioxidants. Why? I want to be forever. And this body is me. So I want this body to continue forever. Classic dharmadhyasa. And then Adi Shankara points out that the opposite also happens. And how does the opposite happen? The opposite happens very interestingly. Anatmani Atma Adhyasa, Atmani Anatma Adhyasa. Both are there. So how is Atmani Anatma Adhyasa possible? Atmani Anatma Adhyasa is possible primarily because, why it is possible? Primarily because the Atma that is Satchidananda, the Atma that is limitless, the Atma that is free, the Atma that is whole is mistaken to be as good as the body, mistaken to be as good as the mind. So the infinite is mistaken for the finite, and the finite is mistaken for the infinite. This is the problem. And this is what he is referring to here as, how does he put it in his own way? He says, Tasya cha bahyakara vishesheshu. Because there is all, see, Brahman doesn't have akara. Akara means form. Brahman doesn't have any akara. So what? So then, as though that was not difficult enough to make matters worse, to confound the confusion further, what is happening? All the things that I look outside of me have akara, including this body, mind, sense complex. They have form. Everything has form. So, body has form, check. Mind has form, check. And it has a certain form. In the form of emotions, it resides. And so outside there are so many forms, trees, animals, plants. If you just look at plants, so many varieties of plants, flowers, birds, grasses. Oh God, crops, so many. You can't count the numerous forms. So Bhahyakara, and each one has a Vishesha. Vishesha means a specificity, peculiarity that makes it that particular thing. You can call a pot because it is a Vishesha. It has a particular form, it has a particular name. And you don't call, a flower a pot. Even though there is an expression flower pot, that's different. But you don't mistake the flower for a pot. Why? Because the flower has flower akara and the pot has pot akara. Each one is Vishesha, specific, peculiar, unique. Each one is unique. Each one is specific. Each one is a Vishesha. And so therefore, the Bhahyakara Vishesheshu Anatmasu. So in these Bhahyakara, in this Mithya Bhuta, this is what we have to remember. This Bhahyakara means Mithya Bhuta. Mithya Bhuta means all the Nama Rupas are there. And then this is, that is why the Buddhi was seen as a Guha. गुहायाम निहितम ब्रह्म सत्य ज्ञानानंद रूपम ब्रह्म. That Brahman which is recognized in the buddhi without the trappings, so to speak, of all the what we call the nama rupas. That is the vastu. And that vastu, from the standpoint of the body mind sense complex itself, is called antartamam. Antartamam means the innermost. And so now what does this Purusha, the Adhikritaha, the one who is the Adhikari, the one who has the eligibility of knowledge, has to discover this Brahman. And so the Upanishad, like a gentle mother, leads the child with a hand. A toddler that has just learned to walk with its fat legs and fat feet. It is just learning to walk. Every 2 steps it is sitting down, and every 4 steps it is going somewhere here, and then looking at something else, getting distracted, chasing a little butterfly one time, and then looking at something else. And the mother says, no, enough of play. Now we have to go home. Come inside. And the child still wants to play. The child wants to, go do other things. and gently, without chiding, because the mother expects the child to be like that. The mother doesn't expect the child to be all matured and have a little wristwatch and look at the wristwatch or even a cell phone and then say, oh yeah, it is time to go inside now, I have played enough outside. No, the mother knows that the child doesn't know, and because of the aviveka, no viveka, the child keeps on doing things that it is going places where it is not supposed to. And you can think about how loving and compassionate the mother has to be and patient to lead this child who is always wanting to go run in the opposite direction, to lead the child to the food or to the sleep or whatever it needs. And so, similarly, this recalcitrant jiva, the one who is filled with all kinds of complexes and the one who is still desirous of Brahman, but then getting distracted and enmeshed in all kinds of things which have form outside of oneself, needs to be led within, so to speak, from the standpoint of the body mind sense complex to understand the truth of oneself. And so therefore what? So therefore the Upanishad is going to do this through a unique way, a very, very unique way. And then this is, it is going, because the from that which is visible to that which is invisible but really oneself. Brahman is invisible, but the Brahman is recognized as I. If Brahman were to be visible, then it would just have the same problem as every other thing in the world. It would have two problems. First is it would be finite, and next it would be mithya. It would be mithya bhutam, and it would be antavat. Antavat means finite. It would be finite and it would be a non entity. So we are looking for that presence which is informing and which is behind, so to speak, all the nama rupas. That which informs the nama rupas, that which has, as it were, entered all the nama rupas, that because of which all the names and forms are sustained, that which is to which all the nama rupas go back, that is what we want to know. And so the Upanishad is going to lead this unsure jiva who is keeping on getting enmeshed in in all kinds of wrong understandings and wrong pursuits. A few Vedanta classes, oh, I'll never get this. Okay, let me go do something else. And then one comes back. And then a few more Vedanta classes, nothing happens. Oh, I'm off. This is not the way. And that's why each time one goes away, the Upanishad gently brings back like a loving mother. And even if the child says, if the mother is telling something, what will the child say? The child will say, I am not listening. This, the jiva, this purusha, sa eva purusha, sahi purusha. This purusha, the one that has adhikara, still also says, I don't want to hear, I am not listening. Why? Because I'm in a bad mood. Bad mood and Vedanta don't go together, okay? If you want to stop studying Vedanta, keep nurturing and stoking the bad mood. Very, and that is possible to do. Bad mood and Vedanta don't go together. So bad mood first has to be looked into and converted into good mood, and then one comes to the class. Then only it works, and then bad mood doesn't work. So, but then the child will do this. I don't want to. I'm not listening. I don't want to hear. And then so gently the Upanishad has a very interesting way, just like how the Indian mother feeds the child. There is a very different method of the Western mother and the Indian mother. In the West, the child is put in a high chair from where it cannot get down. And then it is one seat belt will also be there. That is also put. The child is tied up and then force fed. Come on, eat, eat, eat. So, no fun. Okay. But then in the East, what happens in the Eastern culture, in India, etc., that generally there'll be a little courtyard, or you go outside somewhere. If you're living in a flat, you go outside. And then outside, why? Because there is no cleanup necessary. All the sparrows and the birds will come and clean up whatever is fallen down. So you go outside with the child. The mother goes outside, and the child will be running around. And the mother says, "Oh, is this doggy new in the neighborhood?" And then the child looks, where? And then the mother puts a mouthful of food for the child, who said, "I don't want to eat, I'm not hungry." That same child will eat. And then, "Oh, what's that? Have you seen that other child before?" "No." "Oh, okay. Let's see what this child is doing. Where is this child coming from?" And then another mouthful goes in. So similarly, for this distracted jiva, the Upanishad is going to come up with a very unique and a fantastic method to keep the jiva on track until the knowledge takes place. To keep the jiva on track. And this distracted jiva is strategically led through various little, through various little imageries, and through various kalpanas, through various metaphors, to this Brahman, because of which the one has a body, because of which one has a mind, because of which one has senses, etc., etc. So this is the so now begins a journey of strategic and specific negations. Why? Because there is an enmeshment, there is a mix-up. Bhasyakara vishesheshu anatmasu atmabhavita buddhi. So the buddhi is considering itself to be, considering everything that surrounds it to be the atma, and there is a mix-up. Atma is seen as anatma, anatma is seen as atma, and so this mixed up jiva has to be unentangled from all this mix up, and so therefore there is a strategic negation. The first thing to be negated is the most sthula thing. The first thing to be negated is that which is the grossest and that which is very, very visible. What is that? The body. That is going to be negated as Atma. But then we have a problem. If you say the body is not the Atma, then what happens? Then you keep looking for a specific Atma somewhere, and then you don't understand it properly. That is why I said it is a specific negation. It's a very, very interesting negation. It's a partial negation. It's a well thought out negation. So, this Brahmatma, which is the cause of the universe, how can it not be the cause of this body? It is the cause of this body, and everything is Atma. So, what is the body? Body also is Atma. Body is Brahman. Mind is Brahman. Senses are Brahman. Everything is Brahman. But Brahman is not the body. Brahman is not the mind. Brahman is not the senses. This is what I mean by a specific negation. It's like, the classic example, which I cannot better at all, which Pujya Swamiji used to give very nicely. And what was that? The beggar, a begging person's role is being played by an actor, a very rich actor of Hollywood or Bollywood or Sandalwood, or there are many, many woods, And then, so one actor, Bollywood actor you can take, or whatever, he, let us say, is playing the role of a begging man. In a movie, he's made to wear some, dirt on his face as makeup, and then wear some tattered clothes, and then go from place to place and beg. And of course, nobody gives him anything. And then he sits and cries. This is the script. Now, the actor is different from the beggar, really. The beggar is a role, but then the actor is not the beggar. But what about the beggar? The beggar is between the beggar and actor, there is no space. Between the actor and beggar, there is space, cognitive space. What do you mean? Let's say, if you look at it from the standpoint of the begging person, the body of the beggar is the body of the actor, the mind of the beggar is the mind of the actor, the senses of the beggar is the senses of the actor. In fact, the whole beggar is nothing but the actor. But my question is the actor a beggar? Never. Even while he's acting, he knows that even while he's acting the role of an indigent person who has nothing in this world to call his own, and he knows that his bank account is is growing. He knows that the bank account is growing. He knows that he is not indigent. He knows at the end of the day, he can throw off the tattered clothes, have a shower, wash off all the dirt from his face and the body, and then go to his Hollywood, mansion and be with his loved ones. He knows that very well. So therefore, this is the maxim that Swamiji used to come up with. Beggar is actor, actor is not beggar. B is equal to A is not B. And here again we have to understand this throughout. What is the body? Body? Body, of course, is Brahman. Brahman, Brahman is not the body. If Brahman were to become the body, then what about the mind? So for Brahman to be the body, to be the mind, to be the cause of the universe, to be everything, it has to be not any single thing in particular. Throughout, this has to be understood to get out of that enmeshment. This is how one gets out of that enmeshment. Atma is anatma, anatma is atma. This is a complete mix-up. It's like a Indian dish called khichdi. And so to come out of this mix-up, the strategic negation is done. The first thing to be negated, where so body is not negated. The Atma Buddhi residing in the body, as it were, is negated. The body as Atma is negated. So the Atma as the body is negated. Body, of course, is Atma. Mind is Atma. Atma is not the body. That is what is negated. Then what? Then we go to some subtle things. What about the breath? Pranamaya Atma. Maya means again we saw Anna Rasamaya. We saw that a modification of this prana. No. So this is the Anyontara Atma. Anyontara Atma. We will see this word. Anyontara-atma pranamaya tenaisha purnaha. Like this we will see. Anyontara-atma manomaya vijnanamaya anandamaya. So there is a very strategic negation. From the gross we go to the subtle. Prana, of course, is easier to delineate, to objectify, but prana is not as easy as the body to identify. So first comes the body, then comes the prana, then comes the mind, then comes the feeling that I am a bhokta, I am a karta. All this is going to be negated as not part of the equation called the I. The I is Satchidananda, Nandam Brahma alone. Nothing else is this I. Nothing else is this I. And so therefore, this is exactly what is there. This is this Guha Nihitam Brahma, that Brahman which is as though sitting in a cave, meaning in the buddhi which is unenlightened of its own nature. This is why. And then this A-B confusion is alone the confusion. So antaratamam brahma prapayitum ishtaha sahi purushaha. So that purusha who is the adhikari is going to be taken in hand like the mother leads the child from confusion to safety, or from some kind of a dangerous situation to safety. So then further, Adi Shankara says, Tasya Purushasya, which Purushasya Vidyadhikarinah. So the one who is who is entitled to this knowledge, then Tasya Purushasya, for this Purusha, Bhahyakara Vishesheshu, Anatmasu eva, so this is, in the Saptami is direct Saptami, Bhakyakara Vishesheshu Anatmasu, in the Anatma, in the specific things in the in the outside world, that is where the heart is. Everything is externally oriented. This Purusha, who has to know the innermost self, so to speak, is what? Unfortunately, externally oriented. And the Kathopanishad also points this out. How does the Kathopanishad point it out? Kathopanishad says this is what it is. Paranchikhani vyatrinat swayambhuhu parak pashyati na antaratman. So it says, Lord Yama says, it's as though the Lord has destroyed the humankind. All of the human beings, where are they? They all are into anatma. Why? It's not their fault. If we were supposed to look within, why don't the eyes face inwards? If we were supposed to hear Nada Brahman as in the form of sound, if we are to appreciate, then why are the ears not turned within? If we were to understand Brahman, why are the means of knowledge turned without? Lord Yama laments. And that's why, because all the means of knowledge are turned without, the ways through which I understand the universe are all turned without. Who is going to look within? What is it going to take to look within? Lord Yama laments, the teacher of the Kathopanishad laments in the Upanishad and says this is really unfair. This is a setup for disaster. It is extremely unfair. Why is this setup done like this? And then, we know now, because the five means of knowledge, eyes, nose, etc., they have no use to know the Atma. So, Pratyagatma is not going to be known through that. And so, better they face outside. At least let them enjoy whatever they can enjoy. Let it be facing outside, because what does one want to do? Well, that which one has to understand as the truth of what is oneself, that is not understood through these means of knowledge anyway. It is not understood, it is not available to these means of knowledges. It is not available for sight, sound, etc., etc. So what is the use? Let them face outside and enjoy the smell of frying pakodas and chocolate cake and all that. Let them have chai. Let them have do all kinds of things. No problem. But then those shenanigans can become a distraction for the one who is, who has this confusion that this Atma is something else other than this I. So this is what the problem is. Therefore, it is Bhahyakara. Bhahyascha akarascha, that which is a form, it is Bhahya and it is Akara. It has Bhahyatvam and it has Akara. It has that outsideness, external, it is external and it has a form. So external form, and it has got a Vishesha. And what is the Vishesha? Annamayaha, Pranamayaha, etc. Manomayaha. So it is Vishesha, it's got the characteristics of being a modification of prana, being a modification of food. All of them are Bhakya, external. From what? From the standpoint of this Atma, which sustains all of them. It is called Bhakya because the Atma is not seen, they alone are seen. And so, from the Chidatma Apekshaya, from the standpoint of the Chidatma, everything is Bhakya. And then they have a Vishesha. Mithya Bhuta Vishesha. They are not real Visheshas. They are not like Satyam Jnanam Anantam. No, they are all, things that you can measure. Mithya, things that you can talk about, because it is Vak Alambanam, as the Chandogya says. Whatever you can talk about is not Brahman. And then don't tell me why are you talking about Brahman for so long if it is cannot be talked about. It cannot be talked about as an object. This is what I mean. Whatever can be objectified is not Brahman, because these are all srishta vishayas. They are all products of, as though products of Atma, of Brahman, Brahmatma. These are all mithya, and at the same time, they have a name, they have a form, that which can be defined through some words, vachyartha. So, that which we can define by vachya, anything that you can talk about as an object is mithya. Which cannot be defined by vak will not subject itself to be the vachya. That's why the words satyam, jnanam, anantam are lakshya, not vachya. Very, very important to understand. And so, therefore, Lakshya means the indirect meaning. We saw that at length. So, what is available for your vak, for speech, is ghata, pot, pata, cloth, matha, ashram. These are the things. These are what is ghata, pata, matha. This is what is available for objectification. It is what you are is not objectifiable. Each word has its own Vishesha, has its own Vachya, and it is meaningful. That's why they are Bhahyakara Visheshas, and this is what we have to understand. Then again, but Prana and Manaha, they are Sukshma. They don't have a Bhahyakara. Being Sukshma, being subtle, it has no particular form. And so, but it can be objectified subtly, it can be sensed. And the Upanishad is going to give it a particular form. A kalpita akara, it's going to give it. A very interesting form it's going to give it. It's going to give it, so Annamaya, physical form, that is very evident. And then we have Pranamaya, the pranic body, so to speak, all the functions of the body, respiration, circulation, etc. Manomaya, the mind, senses, etc. And then we have Vijnanamaya, Kartritva Buddhi, the sense of doership, and Anandamaya, which is what? Which is the sense of experiencership. So what is this? How to understand that? How to objectify this? There is a peculiar imagery. An imagery, the Shastra creates the imagery for you, and it is an imagery of a bird. It's the imagery of a bird. Why bird? Because we are taking off on in an interesting journey to moksha, a flight to moksha. But isn't moksha you? Yes. So where is this? Where is this flight path? Exactly. In fact, in the Brahma Sutra, it says the bird has got an abiding presence in the Upanishads for various reasons. And in the Brahma Sutra, it says the journey from Ajnanam to Jnanam is like the flight taken by a bird. Is like the road taken, not the road, the flight path of the bird. Can you chart this flight path? No. At least when a jet plane travels, it leaves some gases, in its wake. But a bird that is going from one place, where is the mark? There is no mark. So this is why the imagery of the bird is used. And the bird is tangible. This is the second reason why the imagery of the bird is used, to point out each and every mistake where the eye is taken to be for the not eye. Each and every mistake is pointed out through this bird imagery. Another reason the bird imagery is going to be used is very specific, and the reason for why the bird imagery is being used is because of the title Taittiriya Upanishad, which is named according to the Tittiri birds, the partridges, the partridges. And so the partridges, which were sitting under the tree or sitting on top of the tree where the sage was channeling this Upanishad, they also understood this is the idea. So kind of a partridge, the birds, the tittiri birds, kind of a variety of partridge. So these are the three reasons why there is a heavy reliance on the bird imagery. So then the bird imagery starts only with the pranamaya kosha, the manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, anandamaya kosha. For these four areas the bird imagery is going to come, and then it's going to dispel this particular entanglement of the Atma with the Anatma. The final reason, the fourth reason the bird imagery is there is that each area which is going to be discussed, like Annamaya, means the body, which is the product of the modification of food, is Bhagavan. Bhagavan is not this body, body is Bhagavan. And so at each place, we can have a prayer, and we do have a prayer. Brahma Jyeshtham Upasate. And then, this is what it says. Brahma Jyeshtham Upasate. People worship this body as Brahman. If you worship the body as the body, then the only place to go is body shop to get some various lotions and potions and keep on putting it on the body. No. You worship the body as Bhagavan, body as a manifestation of Bhagavan. And then that becomes a kind of an upasana, which, since it is a prayer, it has its own phalam. What is the upasana phalam of worshipping the body, Annamaya, which is the product of food? As Brahman, we will see that the person who does this upasana will be surrounded by all kinds of food, will never want food. So in this life, if you have never wanted food, please know that you have done this upasana in the previous life. Now you can skip to the jnanam immediately. Okay? You don't have to get caught up in the upasana. Please do not get caught up in the upasana. This is the idea. Because if you're surrounded by food, somehow food comes. Even if you want to fast, somebody brings food, and then you are surrounded by food. People look at your face and then want to feed you. People look at your face and want to invite you to lunches and dinners. And then you have all these, gourmet things, not just ordinary things. Ordinary dal chawal, if you get, you haven't done this special upasana. But then if you, this is not rice and dal. If you get, this is not what it is. But if you have done this upasana, either in this or other lives, you will be surrounded by gourmet, delectable and wonderful food, and you will be able to enjoy it also. And that is the idea. And so why this upasana is there? So that, it is again the mother taking the child by the hand. If the point is jnanam, why are we interested in upasana? We are interested in upasana only because everybody is not at the same place. The person who is studying the Upanishad, even though Bhagavan is right there, is missing prayers. Oh, I'm missing my evening arati. I have missed this. I have to do this. I have to go do that. Oh, don't worry. Here, Upasana is coming. Okay. Okay, I can do my bhajans right here. I can do my Upasana right here. I'm not leaving Bhagavan. Some kind of a satisfaction. First reason. Second reason, as I told you already, it is Bhagavan. And when you encounter Bhagavan in any manifestation, the only thing to do is fall at the feet and do namaskara. and here it is this body, and so the body is the object of upasana. And if the body which is a food body, modification of the food, and then the upasana, what does it do? It brings in lots and lots of food. I mean, it's like growing tomatoes. You don't know what to do with them, and then and your neighbors are sick of you, and if you if you make eye contact with the neighbor, they duck behind their bushes because they don't they're afraid you'll give them tomatoes. Like this one is surrounded by food. And so very special upasana. And then, but then of course, like anything else, one can get caught up in the upasana. There is just a 4-letter word, don't. Okay, do not do that. Do not get caught up in the upasana, because why? Anyontara atma Nandamaya, like this, one after the other, another one is going to come. And this prana, which is this body, which is now a modification of prana, because the body, the body is not, body is Brahman, but Brahman is not the body. Brahman as the body is being negated, and then provisionally we accept prana is the Atma. Brahman is prana. No, Anyantara Atma Nandamaya. No, the Manomaya is Atma. No, no, no. Vijnanamaya is Atma. No, 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 no. This is Atma. Anandamaya is Atma. No, 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 no. That which is the truth of all this is the Atma. Then there is a very important question, which I know you're dying to ask. Even if no one asks, it'll be there in the mind. What is it? Why this big running round Robin Hood's barn? Why do we have to do that? Why not the Upanishad save its time, save my time, and just say, you are Pratyagatma, you are Brahman, you are not any of these things. Why not say immediately? Why? Because of this embroilment, because the jiva is heavily enmeshed in thinking of anatma as atma. The identification with anatma is so total, so complete, and so full, is that one is not able to get out of this. And so therefore the Upanishad does this, slowly leads the jiva. And then that is the answer. How? We will see more tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaga Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Om.